Hello everyone, and welcome back to When She Broke Us channel. Today, we have an incredible story, one that's dark, emotional, and shocking. It's a story about betrayal, humiliation, and the kind of heartbreak that leaves scars you can't see. We're sitting down with a man whose story will take you through a whirlwind of emotions, and I promise you, this is one you won't be able to look away from. From the first moment, through the betrayal, to the shocking aftermath, this is raw, unfiltered truth. So sit tight, make sure you're not alone for this one, and hear it straight from him. Let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us your name and a little about yourself, and then share your story with us?
I found the receipt on a Tuesday. Not hidden, not crumpled in a pocket or buried in her purse. Just sitting on the kitchen counter between the coffee maker and the fruit bowl. Like it belonged there. Starbucks, downtown location, 3:47 p.m. 2 drinks. One was Emma's usual oat milk latte. The other was a black coffee with an extra shot. Emma hated black coffee. Said it tasted like burnt regret. I'm a data analyst, which means I'm professionally trained to spot patterns, anomalies, deviations from the norm. At work, I find the needle in the haystack, the one transaction that doesn't fit, the outlier that reveals everything. My boss jokes that I have a sixth sense for things that don't add up. That receipt didn't add up. But here's the thing about patterns. They're only meaningful if you know what you're looking for. And sometimes, when you start looking, you find things you wish you hadn't. We'd been married for 6 years. Together for 9. Emma was a graphic designer who worked from home 3 days a week, and I commuted downtown to an office where I spent my days building predictive models for a fintech company. Our life was comfortable, predictable even. Sunday farmers market, Friday date nights, arguments about whose turn it was to take out the recycling. The kind of mundane happiness that people write articles about rediscovering. I picked up the receipt, ran my thumb over the faded ink. Tuesday. Emma had mentioned meeting a client that afternoon. A new logo project for a local brewery. She'd come home around 5:30, complained about traffic, kissed me absently while scrolling through her phone. 2 drinks. Maybe the client drank black coffee. Maybe Emma bought it as a courtesy. Maybe I was being paranoid because my college roommate Jake had just discovered his wife's affair through a series of increasingly obvious signs he'd somehow missed for 8 months. Maybe Jake's situation was making me see shadows where there was only light. I put the receipt back on the counter. Emma walked into the kitchen, wet hair wrapped in a towel, wearing my old Northwestern sweatshirt that she'd claimed as her own years ago. She smiled at me. That genuine, unguarded smile that still made my chest tighten. "Hey you. Started dinner yet?" "Not yet. How was your day?" "Exhausting." She opened the fridge, pulled out the wine. The Henderson project is turning into a nightmare. They can't decide if they want modern or vintage, and I'm ready to suggest we just use clip art and be done with it. The Henderson project. Not the brewery logo. I felt a small knot form in my stomach. "Thought you were meeting the brewery client today?" She poured wine into 2 glasses, handed me one. "Oh, that got pushed to Thursday." "Why?" "Just curious." I sipped the wine. It was the Pinot Noir she loved, the one we discovered on our anniversary trip to Sonoma. Long day for me too. Sanders is writing everyone about the Q3 projections. We fell into our usual dinner routine. Chopping vegetables, discussing work frustrations, debating whether we needed to replace the living room couch, or if the growing stain from last year's Super Bowl party gave it character. Normal, comfortable, real. But that receipt stayed in my mind like a splinter. Thursday came and went. Emma didn't mention meeting any client. Friday night, we went to our favorite Italian place in the suburbs, the one with the terrible parking but incredible osso buco. She was animated, laughing at my story about the intern who'd accidentally deleted a week's worth of data, touching my hand across the table. "I love you," she said suddenly, between the appetizer and main course. "I know I don't say it enough lately. I love you too. And I meant it. God, I meant it so much it hurt." Saturday morning, I was making coffee when I saw her phone light up on the counter. A text notification. Just a glimpse before the screen went dark again. But I caught 2 words. Tuesday worked perfectly. The sender's name was just a letter M. My hand froze on the coffee pot. Tuesday, the day of the receipt. The day she said she was home working on the Henderson project. I could have asked her right then. She was in the shower singing off-key to some pop song. I could have waited for her to come out, shown her the text, asked for an explanation that would make everything make sense again. Instead, I did something I'd never done in 9 years. Picked up her phone. No passcode. She'd never had one. "I have nothing to hide," she'd always said. And besides, I'd just forget it. The text was from someone named Marcus. I scrolled up. The conversation went back weeks. Nothing explicit, nothing damning, just friendly exchanges. Comments about articles, a debate about whether the bear was overrated, a shared meme about designers and their coffee addiction. And Tuesday's message. Tuesday worked perfectly. Same time next week. Emma's response. "Can't wait. You made my whole day better." I heard the shower turn off. I put the phone back exactly where it had been, walked out of the kitchen, stood in our living room staring at the couch with the Super Bowl stain, feeling like I'd stepped into an alternate dimension where everything looked the same but nothing was. The thing about being a data analyst is that you learn to separate signal from noise. 1 data point is an anomaly. 2 is a coincidence. 3 is a pattern. I started collecting data points. Monday, Emma said she was grabbing lunch with her friend Sarah, the one from yoga class. I called Sarah's husband Brian that evening, casual conversation, mentioned maybe we should all grab dinner soon. "Oh, Sarah would love that," Brian said. "She's been so busy with her mom's knee replacement. Barely has time for anything else." Knee replacement. Sarah hadn't been to yoga in 3 weeks. Data point 2. Wednesday, I noticed Emma's car had 60 more miles on it than it should have. I know because I'm the one who tracks maintenance, and I'd logged the odometer Saturday morning. She said she'd been home all day Tuesday and Wednesday, working on projects. 60 miles. That's a round trip downtown and back. Data point 3. Thursday night, I pretended to be asleep when she came to bed. Watched through barely open eyes as she smiled at her phone before plugging it in. That secret smile you give when something makes you happy and you're not ready to share why. Data point 4. I should have confronted her. I know that. Any reasonable person would have just asked. But I couldn't, because asking meant potentially confirming what I was starting to believe, and I wasn't ready for that confirmation. And maybe there was still an explanation that made sense. My friend Derek, from the gym, caught me staring at nothing during a water break. "You good, man? You've been benching the same weight for 20 minutes. "Yeah, just work stuff." "Work stuff doesn't give you that look." He leaned against the machine. "That's relationship stuff." I hesitated. Derek was divorced, had been through his own hell with his ex-wife. If anyone would understand. "You ever suspect someone of cheating?" I asked quietly. "Oh man." Derek sat down next to me. "Who are we talking about?" "Hypothetically, right? Hypothetically." He was quiet for a moment. "Here's what I learned the hard way. If you're asking the question, you already know the answer. You just don't want to believe it. What if you're wrong though? What if you're seeing things that aren't there? Then you talk to them. You ask. You don't let it eat you alive." He gripped my shoulder. "But between you and me, I missed about 100 signs before the obvious one hit me in the face. And looking back, I realized I'd been choosing not to see them. It's easier that way." I went home that night determined to talk to Emma. Just be direct. Be honest. Tell her I'd seen things that worried me. Ask her to help me understand. She was in the kitchen when I walked in, on her phone, laughing at something. When she saw me, she quickly said goodbye and hung up. "Who was that?" I asked, keeping my voice casual. "Sarah. She's thinking about dyeing her hair red." I was trying to talk her out of it. Sarah, who was supposedly taking care of her mother. "How's her mom doing? With the knee replacement?" Emma's expression didn't change. "Oh, slow recovery, but she's tough." She was lying, right to my face, easily, smoothly, like it was nothing. "Emma, I'm starving. Should we order Thai?" She was already pulling up the delivery app. "I've been craving their drunken noodles all day." The moment passed. I let it pass. That night, Lying in bed while she slept beside me, I made a decision. I needed proof. Real, undeniable proof. Either I was losing my mind and seeing patterns where none existed, or Emma was having an affair. I needed to know which. I needed to follow her. Tuesday morning, I told my boss I had a dentist appointment. Emma kissed me goodbye at 7:30 like always, reminded me we needed milk, told me to have a good day. I drove to the office, waited an hour, then called in sick for the rest of the day. Drove back home, parked 2 blocks away where I could see our driveway. At 2:15, Emma's car backed out of the garage. She was dressed nicer than usual, the blue dress I loved, the one she wore when we went somewhere special. I followed her downtown, staying 3 cars back, feeling like a character in a bad movie. She parked near the same Starbucks from the receipt. Got out, checked her reflection in the car window, adjusted her dress, and waited. At 2:30, a man approached her on the sidewalk. Tall, fit, wearing expensive-looking casual clothes. They hugged, a long hug, the kind that meant familiarity, intimacy. Then they walked into the coffee shop together. I sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, heart hammering. This was it. This was the proof. I should have confronted them. Walked in there, made a scene, demanded answers. Instead, I took a photo of them through the window. Watched as they sat at a corner table, leaning close, Emma laughing at something he said, touching his arm. 45 minutes later, they came out. He said something that made her laugh again. Then they walked to the parking lot, to her car. They stood there for several minutes, talking. Then she hugged him again. Another long embrace. Got in her car and drove away. He watched her go, a strange expression on his face. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call, and walked to his own car. A black Tesla that probably cost more than my annual salary. I had a choice to make. Follow her or follow him. I followed him. He drove to an office building downtown, one of those sleek glass towers that houses tech startups and venture capital firms. Parked in the underground garage. I waited 5 minutes, then went inside, checked the directory in the lobby. 17th floor, Marcus Ashford, private investigator. Private investigator. My wife was meeting with a private investigator. Every Tuesday. For weeks, I stood in that lobby, business people flowing around me, and felt my entire understanding of the situation shift. This wasn't an affair. This was something else. Something possibly worse. Why would Emma need a private investigator? What was she investigating? Was she investigating me? I drove home in a daze, got there before her, pretended like nothing had happened. When she came home at 5:30, complained about traffic like always, I searched her face for any sign of guilt, deception, fear. She just smiled and asked what I wanted for dinner. That night, I did what I should have done weeks ago. While she was in the shower, I went through her laptop. Her email was open. I scanned recent messages, found nothing suspicious. Checked her browsing history, deleted. Looked in her documents folder, and found a file labeled Financial Records. I opened it. Inside were bank statements I'd never seen before. Not our joint account. A separate account in just her name. And over the past 6 months, there had been regular deposits. $50,000. $75,000. $40,000. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, coming from an LLC I didn't recognize. And monthly payments going out. $5,000 each time. To Marcus Ashford, private investigator. I heard the bathroom door open. I closed the laptop, went downstairs, poured myself a drink with shaking hands. Emma found me on the couch, staring at the TV that wasn't even on. "Hey," she said softly, sitting next to me. "You okay?" "Yeah, just tired." She cuddled against me, her wet hair soaking into my shirt. "Long week." "Yeah. I love you," she said again. That same sudden declaration from Friday night. "Whatever happens, I want you to know that. I love you so much." "What's going to happen?" I asked before I could stop myself. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Nothing. Nothing's going to happen. Sometimes I think about how lucky I am to have you, and I get scared that I don't say it enough." She was lying. or preparing me for something. Or, Emma, if there's something you need to tell me. There isn't. She kissed my cheek. You worry too much. Everything's fine. But everything wasn't fine. My wife was meeting with a private investigator, had hundreds of thousands of dollars I didn't know about, and was lying to me about where she spent her afternoons. I had to know the truth. All of it. So the next morning I went back downtown. Walked into that glass tower, took the elevator to the 17th floor, and knocked on Marcus Ashford's office door. Mr. Collins, Marcus said when he opened the door, not looking remotely surprised to see me. I was wondering when you'd show up. He was younger than he'd looked from a distance, mid-30s maybe, with the easy confidence of someone who'd seen too much to be shocked by anything. His office was neat, minimal, all glass and chrome. You know who I am. Noticed you following me yesterday. You're not subtle. He gestured to a chair. Want to sit down? I want to know what my wife hired you for. Client confidentiality. I'm sure you understand. She's my wife. We're married. There shouldn't be secrets. Marcus studied me for a long moment. Mr. Collins, I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to really hear it. Your wife loves you. What she's doing because she loves you. Then why can't she just tell me? Because some truths are harder to speak than others. He leaned back in his chair. I can't tell you what she hired me for, but I can tell you that when this is over, and it will be over soon, you'll understand why she made the choices she made. That's not good enough. It'll have to be. For now. He stood up, walked to the window overlooking the city. How's your mother doing, by the way? I froze. What? Your mother. Susan Collins. How is she? How do you know my mother's name? It's my job to know things. He turned back to me. She's in Denver, right? Retired schoolteacher. Widow for 7 years now. You visit her every few months. If you're threatening my mother, I'm not threatening anyone. I'm just showing you that I'm good at my job, and that the information I gather, I keep confidential. He walked back to his desk. Go home, Mr. Collins. Trust your wife. She's doing what needs to be done. Tell me one thing. My voice cracked. Is she in danger? Something shifted in his expression. No, she's not in danger. Am I? No one's in danger. But someone needed to be found, and your wife hired me to find them. He opened the door, a clear dismissal. That's all I can say. The rest you'll have to get from her. I left his office more confused than when I'd arrived. Drove home, called in sick again. Spent the day trying to piece together what I knew. Emma was meeting with a PI. She had hundreds of thousands of dollars from an unknown source. She'd been lying about her whereabouts. But Marcus said she loved me, that no one was in danger, that someone needed to be found. Who was she looking for? And why? I pulled up that LLC from the bank statements, searched for it online. Nothing useful, just a registered agent in Delaware, the kind of anonymized structure people use when they don't want to be found. Then I remembered something. A conversation from years ago before we were married. Emma telling me about her family, why she didn't talk to them anymore. My father left when I was 12, she'd said. Just walked out one day, never came back. My mom fell apart. I basically raised my little brother myself. We were so poor, sometimes we didn't eat for days. I swore I'd never forgive him. Never. Her father, who'd disappeared 23 years ago. Was she looking for him? Had she found him? Was that where the money was coming from? Some kind of inheritance, guilt payment, recompense for abandonment? That evening, I broke my own rule. When Emma came home, I was waiting at the kitchen counter, the laptop open in front of me, the financial records displayed. She saw it immediately, went very still. We need to talk, I said. I know. She set down her purse, walked slowly to the counter. I was going to tell you. Soon. I was just waiting for what? For me to figure it out on my own? For the PI to finish whatever investigation you're paying him for? I heard the anger in my voice, couldn't control it. Who's Marcus Ashford, Emma? Why are you paying him $5,000 a month? Where is this money coming from? She closed her eyes. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. Because from where I'm standing, my wife has been lying to me for months, has secret bank accounts, is meeting with a private investigator, and won't give me a straight answer about anything. I found my father, she said quietly. There it was. Confirmation. And he's rich. Really rich. Tech entrepreneur who sold his company 10 years ago for $300 million. Lives in Seattle now with a new family, new life. Like we never existed. The LLC is his. When I found him, confronted him about abandoning us. He offered money. Lots of it. Said it was the least he could do. Her voice was bitter. Blood money. But I took it. Because I thought. She stopped herself. You thought what? She looked at me then. Really looked at me, and I saw tears in her eyes. I thought I could fix something. Something I did. Something terrible. My stomach dropped. Emma, what did you do? Not what I did. What I found out. She pulled out her phone, unlocked it, pulled up a photo, handed it to me. It was a picture of a young girl, maybe 9 or 10 years old, with dark hair and Emma's exact eyes. Who is this? Her name is Sophie. Emma's voice broke. She's your daughter. The world tilted. That's impossible. I don't have a daughter. I've never. Remember Melissa? From college? Melissa. I hadn't thought about her in years. We dated my senior year at Northwestern. Broke up after graduation when she moved to LA and I stayed in Chicago. It had been amicable, unmemorable. What about her? She got pregnant. Didn't tell you. Had a daughter. Raised her alone for a while. Then gave her up for adoption when she was 4 because she couldn't handle it. Emma was crying now. I found out 6 months ago. By accident. I was doing some design work for an adoption agency, saw the file photo, and she looked so much like your mom that I started digging. How? Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know if you'd want to know, if it would destroy us, if Melissa had kept it secret for a reason. She wiped her eyes. So I hired Marcus to find out everything. Where she is, who adopted her, if she's okay. And I contacted your ex. Asked her what happened. What did she say? That she was young and scared and stupid. That she thought she was doing the right thing by not telling you. That she signed away her rights and the adoptive parents wanted a closed adoption. That it's been eating her alive for 9 years. Emma grabbed my hand. Your daughter is in foster care right now. The adoptive parents died in a car accident 2 years ago. She's been bounced around the system since. And I've been trying to figure out how to tell you that you have a daughter who needs you, without destroying everything we've built. I stood there, unable to process what she was saying. A daughter, 9 years old, in foster care. Why the secret account? Why pay Marcus? Because I wanted to get everything in order first. Make sure we could get custody, that it was legally possible, that we were prepared. I used my father's money because I didn't want to touch our savings without telling you why. And I didn't want to tell you until I knew for sure that we could bring her home. Bring her home, I repeated numbly. If you want to. If we want to. Emma was gripping my hands now. I know this is insane. I know I should have told you the second I found out. But I was terrified. Terrified you'd be angry at Melissa. Terrified you'd resent the situation. Terrified it would ruin us. So I tried to fix it first. Make it possible. And then I was going to tell you everything. I pulled my hands away, walked to the window, stared out at our quiet suburban street. I had a daughter, 9 years old, in foster care. Emma had found her, had been working for months to make it possible to bring her home. All those Tuesdays, she'd been meeting with Marcus, getting updates, filing paperwork, building a case for custody. All those lies had been to protect me, to prepare for a truth she didn't know how to tell. When were you going to tell me? I asked finally. This weekend. Marcus finished the preliminary paperwork yesterday. We have a meeting scheduled with a family lawyer Saturday morning. I was going to explain everything Friday night. Show me everything. All the files, all the reports. I want to know everything you know. She nodded, pulled out her laptop, opened folder after folder. Pictures of Sophie at school, at a foster home, playing in a yard. Reports from Marcus detailing Melissa's story, the adoption records, the tragic accident that killed Sophie's adoptive parents, legal documents about custody procedures, home studies, requirements, and a video. Marcus must have taken it from a distance. Sophie was on a swing set, laughing, her hair flying behind her. She had my laugh, my exact laugh. "She's ours," Emma whispered. "If we want her, if we're ready, she could be ours." I watched that video loop 3 times. This child, my child, existed. Had been existing for 9 years without me. Without knowing I existed. And my wife, who I'd suspected of betraying me, had actually been trying to give me the greatest gift imaginable. "I'm sorry," Emma said. "I'm so sorry I lied. I'm sorry I kept this from you. I didn't know how to tell you that your whole life was different than you thought it was." I turned to look at her. Really look at her. This woman who I'd married, who I'd suspected, who I'd followed, who I'd been so sure was destroying our marriage. This woman who'd been trying to save a child. "We have to meet her," I said. "We can't yet. Not until the custody case is." "Emma, we have to meet her." She nodded, understanding. "I'll call Marcus. See what he can arrange." 3 days later, we drove to a supervised visitation center in a town 40 minutes away. I'd barely slept since Emma's revelation. Had called Melissa, had a conversation that left both of us crying. Her apologizing, me apologizing, both of us grieving the years we'd lost. "She's musical," Melissa had told me. "Like you used to be, before you got too busy and stopped playing guitar. She plays piano. She's brilliant at it." Emma held my hand as we walked into the building. A social worker met us, explained the process. "Sophie knows you're coming. We've told her that you're potential family, but she's been through a lot. Don't expect too much too quickly." And then she brought her out. Sophie was smaller than I'd expected from the photos. Thin, wary. Those eyes, my mother's eyes, Emma's eyes, studied us with an intensity that broke my heart. "Hi, Sophie," Emma said gently. "I'm Emma. This is David." "Hi." Her voice was quiet, guarded. "We brought you something." Emma handed her a wrapped package. Sophie opened it carefully. Inside was a sketchbook and a set of professional colored pencils. Emma had researched what foster kids in her situation might like, had chosen thoughtfully. "Thank you." Sophie ran her fingers over the pencils. "These are nice." We sat in that sterile visitation room for an hour. At first, the conversation was stilted, awkward, but gradually Sophie relaxed. Told us about school, about the piano lessons her foster family paid for, about the book she was reading. "Do you like music?" I asked. "I love music. I'm learning Chopin right now. It's hard, but..." She smiled for the first time, a real smile. "It's beautiful when you get it right." I stopped myself. "I used to play guitar. Classical mostly." "Really?" Her eyes lit up. "That's cool." When our time was up, Sophie hugged Emma. Hesitated, then hugged me too. Quick, uncertain, but genuine. As we walked back to the car, Emma was crying. "That's your daughter," she said. "That's our daughter." "Yeah," I managed. "Yeah, she is." The custody process took 3 months. 3 months of paperwork, home studies, interviews, legal proceedings. Melissa signed documents relinquishing any claim, supporting our petition. My mother flew in from Denver, testified about what a good father I'd be. Emma's design business slowed as she focused on preparing our home, our lives, for a traumatized 9-year-old who'd lost too much already. We visited Sophie every week, watched as she gradually opened up, laughed more, began to trust. The moment she first called Emma Mom, tentatively, testing the word, Emma had to leave the room because she was crying too hard to speak. But underneath all of this, I was processing something else. For weeks, I'd been so certain my wife was betraying me, had collected evidence, followed her, constructed an entire narrative of infidelity, had been ready to believe the worst, and I'd been completely wrong. "You're quiet?" Emma said one night as we lay in bed, a week before Sophie was officially coming home. "Just thinking about How I almost lost you. Because I didn't trust you. She rolled over to face me. You saw what anyone would have seen. Secret meetings, lies about where I was. I don't blame you for suspecting. I should have just asked you. And I should have told you from the beginning. She touched my face. We both made mistakes. But we got here anyway. Do you think she'll be happy? With us? I think she'll be safe. And loved. The rest we'll figure out together. Sophie moved in on a Saturday in November. We'd prepared her room, let her choose the paint color via video chat, bought furniture she'd picked out from a catalog. Emma had framed a photo of Sophie with her adoptive parents and put it on the nightstand, making sure she knew we weren't trying to erase her past. That first night, I tucked her into bed, something I'd never imagined I'd do. David? She said as I was leaving. Yeah. Is it okay if I call you Dad? Eventually, not yet, but maybe someday. I had to steady my voice. That would be more than okay. Okay, good. She hugged the stuffed elephant we'd given her. Good night. Good night, Sophie. I found Emma in the kitchen, staring out the window at the darkness. She's asleep, I said. I heard her ask about calling you Dad. Emma turned to me. We're really doing this. We're really parents. Yeah, we really are. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I need to tell you something else. My stomach tightened. What? I'm pregnant. The world stopped. Again. How long have you known? 2 weeks. I wanted to wait until Sophie was settled before telling you. But I can't keep it to myself anymore. She looked scared. Is this okay? Is it too much? We're just figuring out how to be parents to a 9-year-old and now. I kissed her, pulled her close, felt her heart hammering against mine. It's perfect, I said. It's all perfect. And it was. Terrifying and complicated and overwhelming, but perfect. That night, lying in bed, I thought about all those Tuesdays, all those receipts and text messages and suspicious details. How I'd constructed a story of betrayal from fragments of truth, because my friend's divorce had primed me to see infidelity everywhere. How the real story had been about love all along. About a woman who'd found a lost child and moved mountains to bring her home. About second chances and unexpected families and the grace of forgiveness. About how sometimes the pattern you think you're seeing is just noise. And the signal was there all along, if only you'd known what to listen for. 6 months later, I was setting up a college fund for Sophie, using Emma's father's blood money, ironically enough, when I found another document on Emma's laptop. A letter, unsent, dated the day before she'd finally told me everything. David, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't find the courage to tell you in person. It means I've destroyed our marriage with my secrets. And I don't blame you if you can never forgive me. You have a daughter. Her name is Sophie. She's 9 years old, and she's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. When I found her, saw her smile, heard her play piano, I knew I had to bring her home to you, had to find a way. But I was scared. Scared you'd hate Melissa. Scared you'd resent this situation. Scared you'd see Sophie as a burden rather than a blessing. So I tried to fix everything first. Make it easy. Make it possible. I know that's not fair to you. I know I should have trusted you from the beginning. But I loved you too much to risk losing you, and I loved her too much to risk you saying no. If you can't forgive me, I understand. But please don't let that stop you from knowing your daughter. She needs you. She deserves you. I'm so sorry. For everything. But I'd do it all again if it meant bringing her home. I love you. Always. E. I read it 3 times. Then I walked upstairs, where Emma was helping Sophie with her homework and unconsciously resting her hand on her growing belly. Hey, I said from the doorway. Both of them looked up. Can we talk for a second? Emma's face went pale. She'd recognized that tone. The serious conversation tone. Sophie, give us a minute? Sure. Sophie grabbed her books, headed to her room. But she paused at the door, looked back at us with those knowing eyes. You guys aren't fighting, are you? No, Emma said quickly. No, sweetie. We're not fighting. Okay, good. She smiled, That smile that was becoming more frequent, more genuine. "I'll be in my room." When she was gone, Emma turned to me. "What is it? What's wrong?" I held up the printed letter. "I found this." She closed her eyes. "You weren't supposed to see that. I meant to delete it after. You thought I'd say no. To Sophie. I didn't know what you'd say, and I couldn't risk it." I sat down next to her. "You were right to be scared. Because 6 months ago, if you'd dropped this on me without warning, without preparation, I probably would have panicked. Would have said all the wrong things. David, but you gave me the gift of time. Even if I didn't know it. You did all the hard work, made all the arrangements, so that when the truth came out, it was a possibility instead of an impossibility." I took her hand. "You protected all of us. Sophie, me, even yourself. And I'm not angry about how you did it. I'm grateful." She started crying. "I was so scared I'd lose you. You could never lose me. Not over this. Not over anything." I wiped her tears. "You gave me my daughter. You're giving me another child. You've given me everything." From upstairs, we heard Sophie practicing piano. She was working on a piece she wanted to play at her school recital. The notes floated down, imperfect but determined, beautiful in their sincerity. "I still can't believe this is our life," Emma whispered. "I know. Me neither. That should have been the end of the story. The happy ending we'd earned through pain and secrets and eventual truth. A family cobbled together from broken pieces, made whole through love and second chances. But life isn't a story. It doesn't end when you want it to." 2 weeks later, I got a call at work from a number I didn't recognize. "Mr. Collins? This is Detective Sarah Reeves with the Seattle Police Department." My blood went cold. "Is my wife okay? My daughter?" "They're fine. But I need to ask you some questions about Marcus Ashford." "Marcus, the private investigator. What about him?" "He was found dead in his office yesterday morning. Single gunshot wound to the head. We're treating it as a homicide." The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. "What? That's impossible. Emma was meeting with him last week. About finalizing Sophie's adoption records. I understand your wife was a client of his. That's why I'm calling. We need to speak with both of you. Can you come down to the station? Are we suspects? We're talking to all of his recent clients. This is just routine." Nothing about a murdered private investigator felt routine. I called Emma immediately. She answered on the first ring, her voice shaking. "David, the police just called me. Marcus is dead. They're saying someone killed him." "I know. They want to talk to us." "Oh God. Oh God." I heard her breathing accelerate. "David, there's something I didn't tell you. About Marcus. About why I really hired him. Not again. Please, not again." "What do you mean? Can you come home? I can't do this over the phone." I left work immediately, drove home faster than I should have. Found Emma sitting at the kitchen table, Sophie at a friend's house. Thank God. "Talk to me," I said. She pulled out her laptop, opened a folder I hadn't seen before. Inside were files labeled with dates, names I didn't recognize, and one that made my stomach drop. Robert Chun investigation. Who's Robert Chen? My father's business partner. The one he screwed over when he sold his company. Emma's hands were shaking. When I found my father, started taking his money, I also started asking questions about how he got it. And I found out some things that, David, my father didn't just abandon us. He's a criminal. What? The company he sold? It was built on stolen intellectual property. Robert Chun was the genius behind everything, and my father stole his work, pushed him out, sold it all as his own creation. Robert got nothing. My father got $300 million. Why didn't Chun sue? He tried, but my father's lawyers buried him. Chun lost everything, his company, his reputation, his marriage. He had a daughter, too, a little girl. She would be about 19 now. Emma looked at me with terrified eyes. Marcus wasn't just helping me with Sophie's adoption. I hired him to find out the truth about my father's business dealings. To get evidence that could bring him down. Make him pay for what he did. Jesus, Emma. Why? Because I couldn't take his blood money and not try to fix what he'd broken. Because every time I looked at Sophie, I thought about Chen's daughter, and how my father's greed probably destroyed her life too. She was crying now. So I had Marcus dig, and he found things. Evidence of fraud, theft, corruption. We were going to go to the authorities next month. Once Sophie's adoption was finalized and she was safe. And now Marcus is dead. And now Marcus is dead. And I'm terrified that my father found out. That he had Marcus killed to protect himself. The doorbell rang. We both jumped. Through the window, I could see an unmarked police car in our driveway. "Let me handle this," I said. "Just don't volunteer anything. Answer their questions honestly, but don't offer information they don't ask for." Detective Reeves was younger than I'd expected, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her partner, Detective Torres, was older, quieter, taking notes while Reeves asked questions. "When was the last time either of you saw Mr. Ashford?" "Last Tuesday," Emma said. "We had a meeting about my daughter's adoption paperwork." "How long had you been working with him?" "About 6 months." "And the nature of your professional relationship was solely related to the adoption?" Emma hesitated. Just a fraction of a second, but Reeves caught it. "Mrs. Collins?" "He was also doing some background research for me. On my father." "Your father?" "I hadn't seen him in 23 years. When I found him again, I wanted to know who he'd become, what his life was like. Not technically a lie, but not the whole truth either." Reeves made a note. "Your father is James Morrison, correct? The tech entrepreneur?" "Yes." "When was the last time you spoke with him?" 3 weeks ago. Briefly. On the phone. "What did you discuss?" "Family matters. Nothing important." Another note. "Mr. Collins, did you ever meet with Mr. Ashford personally?" "Once. About 6 months ago. I went to his office, asked him what my wife had hired him for. He told me he couldn't say due to client confidentiality." "And how did that make you feel?" I almost laughed at the therapy speak. Confused. Concerned. But Emma explained everything later. Everything. About Sophie. About finding her. About the adoption process. Reeves exchanged a glance with Torres. "We've been reviewing Mr. Ashford's files. It seems he was investigating your father-in-law for potentially illegal business practices. Were you aware of this?" "I just found out today," I said honestly. "And Mrs. Collins, were you planning to report your findings to the authorities?" "I don't know. Maybe. We hadn't decided yet." "Did your father know about the investigation?" "I don't think so. I never told him." "Could Mr. Ashford have told him? Confronted him?" Emma paled. "Marcus wouldn't. He was a professional. He wouldn't have approached my father without talking to me first." But even as she said it, I could see the doubt in her eyes. After the detectives left, Emma broke down completely. "This is my fault. If Marcus is dead because of me, because I couldn't just take the money and move on." "Stop. You don't know that's what happened. Who else would have killed him? Who else would have a motive?" I didn't have an answer. Over the next week, the investigation intensified. The police searched Marcus's office, seized his files, interviewed everyone he'd been in contact with. Emma's father hired expensive lawyers who insisted he knew nothing about the murder, that he hadn't even known his daughter had hired an investigator. And then Sophie started having nightmares. She'd wake up screaming, crying for her adoptive parents, terrified that something would happen to us too, that she'd lose another family. "I can hear you fighting," she said one night when I came to comfort her. "You and Mom, you're scared. Is someone going to hurt us?" "No, baby. No one's going to hurt us." "Then why are you scared?" I couldn't lie to her. Not after everything. Something bad happened to someone we knew, and we're trying to understand why. But it has nothing to do with you, and you're safe. I promise. People always say that before something bad happens. She was 9 years old. Too young to be so cynical, so certain that safety was an illusion. "Sometimes bad things happen," I said carefully. "But Emma and we're going to be here. We're not going anywhere." That's what my other parents said. Before I could respond, Emma appeared in the doorway. "Hey, sweetheart." She sat on the other side of Sophie's bed. "I know things feel scary right now, but David and we're fighting for you, not with each other. We're trying to fix something that happened before you came into our lives. And yes, it's complicated and stressful. But it doesn't change how much we love you." Sophie looked between us. "Promise." "Promise," Emma said. "Triple promise," I added, which was Sophie's highest form of oath. She smiled weakly. "Okay, triple promise." After she fell back asleep, Emma and I sat in the living room, exhausted. "We can't keep living like this," I said. "The stress is killing us. And it's affecting Sophie. What choice do we have? The police are still investigating. My father's lawyers are circling. If we try to run, we look guilty. We're not guilty of anything, aren't we?" Emma looked at me with haunted eyes. "I set this in motion. I hired Marcus to investigate my father. And now Marcus is dead. Maybe Sophie's right. Maybe people who get close to us do get hurt." "That's not." My phone rang. Unknown number again. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Mr. Collins? This is Catherine Chen." The name meant nothing to me for a second. Then, "Robert Chen's daughter." "Yes." Her voice was young, controlled. "I need to meet with you and your wife. Tonight, if possible. It's about Marcus Ashford's murder. And about your father-in-law." We met her at a coffee shop downtown, the same Starbucks where Emma used to meet Marcus, ironically enough. Catherine Chun was 19, Asian American, with her father's eyes and a hardness that made her seem much older. "Marcus Ashford was helping my father build a case against James Morrison," she said without preamble. "Your wife hired him to investigate Morrison's business practices. My father hired him to gather evidence for a lawsuit. We were working together, though you didn't know it." Emma's face went white. "Marcus never told me. He kept his clients separate. Professional ethics. But he was feeding information to both sides, trying to build a comprehensive case." Catherine pulled out a folder. 3 days before he died, Marcus called my father. Said he'd found something big. Something that changed everything. He was supposed to meet with my father the next morning. "What did he find?" I asked. "He never got the chance to tell us. Someone killed him first." She slid the folder across the table. "But he sent my father these files. The night before he died. Insurance, maybe. Or maybe he knew he was in danger." I opened the folder. Inside were financial records, emails, legal documents. And one photograph, a young girl, maybe 4 years old, with dark hair and familiar eyes. "That's Sophie," Emma whispered. "From before the adoption." "No," Catherine said quietly. "That's me." We stared at her. "James Morrison destroyed my father's company 20 years ago. But that's not all he destroyed." Catherine's voice was steady, controlled. "My mother couldn't handle the stress of the lawsuit, the bankruptcy, the public humiliation. She killed herself when I was 6. My father fell apart. Couldn't take care of me. I went into foster care." Emma grabbed my hand, squeezed so hard it hurt. "I was adopted by a wonderful family," Catherine continued. "Got lucky, got out. But I never forgot what Morrison did. What he took from me." She looked directly at Emma. "Your father didn't just abandon you. He's been destroying families his entire life. And Marcus had finally found proof." "What kind of proof?" I asked. "Morrison's entire fortune is built on theft and fraud. The company he sold? Not only was it my father's intellectual property, but Morrison had been embezzling from investors for years. He sold it right before the accounting fraud would have been discovered. Walked away clean while everyone else burned." Catherine tapped the folder. "This is evidence of multiple felonies. Securities fraud, wire fraud, embezzlement. Enough to put him away for 20 years. And you think he killed Marcus to hide this?" "I think Marcus confronted him, tried to get him to confess or maybe make things right. And Morrison had him killed." Her eyes were hard. "I've been following your father-in-law for 2 years, Mrs. Collins. Ever since I aged out of foster care and had the resources to start investigating. I know how he operates. He doesn't get his hands dirty. He pays people to solve his problems. Do you have proof of the murder? Not yet, but the police are looking. And I have something better. She pulled out her phone, played an audio recording. Marcus's voice. Mr. Morrison, I know what you did. To Robert Chen, to your investors, to your own family. And I have evidence that will put you in prison. A pause. Then another voice. Older, smoother. Everyone has a price, Mr. Ashford. What's yours? There isn't one. But there is an alternative. Turn yourself in. Make restitution. Face what you've done. And if I don't, then I go to the authorities. And your daughter finds out exactly what kind of man her father really is. A longer pause. Then, you've made a serious mistake. The recording ended. That was recorded 4 days before Marcus died, Catherine said. He sent it to my father as insurance. But it wasn't enough to save him. Emma was shaking. My father killed him. We don't know that for sure, I said, even though the evidence seemed damning. The recording proves Morrison knew about the investigation, maybe that he threatened Marcus. But not that he actually. David. Emma looked at me. He's capable of it. I know he is. A man who abandons his family, who steals from his partner, who builds his fortune on lies. Why wouldn't he kill to protect it? Because we need actual proof before we accuse someone of murder. Catherine leaned forward. That's why I'm here. I need your help. The police won't move without more evidence. But if Emma confronts her father, wears a wire, gets him to confess. Absolutely not, I said immediately. If he's dangerous enough to kill Marcus, I'm not letting Emma anywhere near him. I'm not asking permission, Emma said quietly. Marcus died because of me, because I hired him, because I wanted revenge on my father for abandoning us. I have to fix this. By getting yourself killed? By getting justice. She looked at Catherine. What do I need to do? 3 days later, Emma drove to Seattle to confront her father. I wanted to go with her, but Catherine insisted it would be more effective if Emma went alone. More believable. More likely to make Morrison drop his guard. She wore a wire provided by the FBI. Catherine had convinced them there was enough evidence to warrant an investigation. I waited at home with Sophie, trying to act normal, failing miserably. Where's Mom? Sophie asked at dinner. Seattle. Family stuff. Is she okay? She will be. Please let her be okay. My phone rang at 8:47 p.m. Emma. It's done, she said. Her voice sounded strange. Distant. What happened? He confessed. Everything. The fraud, the theft, what he did to Robert Chen. And, she took a shaky breath. Marcus's murder. He admitted it. Said Marcus left him no choice. Said family is the only thing that matters, and Marcus threatened his family. Meaning me, by threatening to expose him. Did the FBI get it? Every word. They're arresting him now. It's over. Emma. I have to go. Give Sophie a kiss for me. Tell her I love her. I'll be home tomorrow. She hung up. Something in her voice bothered me. Something wrong. But she came home the next day, pale and quiet but whole. The FBI had arrested James Morrison on multiple charges. Catherine Chen's father finally had justice. Marcus Ashford's killer would face trial. We should have been relieved, grateful, safe. Instead, Emma withdrew, stopped designing, stopped eating properly, sat in Sophie's room at night, watching her sleep, crying silently. Talk to me, I begged. Tell me what's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Everything's fixed. We got justice. Then why do you look so broken? She didn't answer. The truth came out 3 weeks later, when Detective Reeves called me at work. Mr. Collins, I need you to come to the station. It's about your wife's testimony against James Morrison. What about it? Just, please come in. At the station, Reeves led me to an interview room, showed me a video. It was Emma, in Morrison's Seattle home, wearing the wire. I could hear her father's voice, hear him admitting to everything. The fraud, the theft, the murder. But Reeves pointed to Emma's hand in the video, the one the camera couldn't quite see clearly. "Watch this part again." She replayed it, slowed it down, Emma's hand moving slightly, and in that movement I could see what she was doing. She was typing. On her phone. Messages she was reading aloud as if they were coming from her father. "Your wife fabricated the confession," Reeves said quietly. "She used voice synthesis software. We found it on her phone. She made it sound like Morrison was confessing, but he never actually said any of those things." The room spun. "That's impossible." I heard the recording. Her father admitted to the fraud, the theft. He admitted to being a terrible person. But he never admitted to murder, because he didn't kill Marcus Ashford. Then who? "We arrested Catherine Chun this morning," she confessed. Marcus was planning to expose her father's attempt to blackmail Morrison. Apparently, Robert Chun wasn't the innocent victim everyone thought he was. He'd helped Morrison steal the intellectual property in the first place, then tried to blackmail him for a bigger cut years later. Marcus found out was going to report both of them. So Catherine killed him to protect her father. Couldn't breathe. Your wife figured it out. During her confrontation with Morrison, he told her the truth about Robert Chun. About Catherine. Emma realized Catherine had manipulated her, used her to build a case against Morrison while hiding her own father's guilt. Reeves leaned forward. So Emma fabricated the murder confession to make sure Morrison went to prison anyway. For justice, she said. For Marcus. Where is she? In custody. She's being charged with obstruction of justice, falsifying evidence, and conspiracy. She'll probably get 5 to 7 years. 5 to 7 years. Sophie would be 14 when Emma got out. The new baby, our baby, would be born while Emma was in prison. I drove home in a daze. Found Sophie doing homework at the kitchen table, unaware that her entire life had just shattered again. Hey Dad, where's Mom? I sat down next to her, took her hand. Sophie, I need to tell you something. That was 9 months ago. Emma's in a minimum security facility 3 hours away. I visit every week, bring Sophie when I can. Our son, we named him Marcus, is 6 months old. Emma got to hold him once when he was born. An hour of supervised contact before they took her back. Sophie's in therapy. We both are. She calls Emma Mom on the phone, tells her about school and piano and her friends, doesn't talk about the nightmares that came back, about how she's terrified that this family is temporary too. Emma's father is in prison. 35 years for fraud and embezzlement. Robert Chun cut a deal, testified against Morrison, and got probation. Catherine Chun is serving 15 years for murder. And I'm here, raising 2 kids alone, working full-time, visiting my wife in prison, trying to understand how love and justice and revenge got so tangled up that I can't separate them anymore. The detective asked me if I knew, if I was in on Emma's plan. I told her no, because I wasn't, but I wonder sometimes if I should have been. If I'd have done the same thing in Emma's position. Fabricated evidence to make sure a guilty man went to prison, even if it wasn't for the crime he actually committed. I don't have an answer. What I do have is a daughter who's learning that families can survive anything if they choose to stay together. A son who'll grow up visiting his mother in prison but knowing she loved him enough to sacrifice everything. And a wife who'll come home someday and will have to figure out how to be a family again. Last week, I got a letter from Emma. She writes every day, but this one was different. David, I know you're angry. I know you have every right to be. I lied to you again, manipulated you again, destroyed our family again. But I need you to understand something. Marcus died because of me, because I hired him to pursue my revenge. And Catherine walked free, letting my father take the fall for her crime. Couldn't let that stand. I couldn't let Marcus's death be meaningless. So yes, I fabricated evidence. Yes, I committed a crime to expose another crime. And yes, I'll pay for it. But my father is guilty. Maybe not of murder, but of destroying lives. Of what he did to Robert Chun, to Chen's family, to us. He deserved to go to prison. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to understand why I made the choice I made. Why sometimes justice matters more than the law. I love you. I love our children. And I'll spend every day of the next 5 years trying to be worthy of coming home to you. I read that letter to Sophie last night. She's old enough to understand now. Old enough to grapple with complicated truths. Is Mom a bad person? She asked. No. She's a person who did a bad thing for what she thought were good reasons. Like Robin Hood? I almost laughed. Maybe. A little bit. I still love her. Me too, baby. Me too. And I do. God help me, I do. Because at the end of it all, Emma was right about one thing. She saw a lost child and moved mountains to bring her home. She saw injustice and couldn't look away. She loved fiercely and foolishly and with a reckless disregard for her own safety. She's flawed. She's made terrible choices. She's destroyed our lives twice now with her secrets and lies and misguided attempts to fix everything. But she's mine, and I'm hers. And when she comes home, we'll be waiting. All of us. Together. Because that's what family means. Not perfection. Not always making the right choice. But choosing each other anyway. Again and again. No matter what. Sophie plays piano while I feed Marcus his bottle. She's working on Chopin, the same piece she was learning when we first met her. She still doesn't get it perfect. But it's beautiful when she gets it right. And maybe that's enough. Maybe we're all just trying to get it right, one note at a time, knowing we'll make mistakes but playing anyway. The receipt is still in my desk drawer. Kept it. A reminder of where this all started, with suspicion and fear and the certainty that my wife was betraying me. She was, in a way, just not the way I thought. And I was right about the pattern in the end. I just had no idea how complicated it really was. How many layers of truth and lies and love and justice were woven together into something I still don't fully understand. But I'm learning. We all are. One Tuesday at a time.
Wow. That was an incredibly intense and emotional story. Thank you for trusting us and sharing such a personal and painful experience with such honesty. Your journey, from betrayal, humiliation, and heartbreak, to reclaiming your life and dignity, is truly powerful, and I know it will resonate with many of our viewers who have faced similar struggles. To everyone watching, this story is a reminder of the strength we all have inside us, even in the darkest moments. If Michael's story moved you, made you think, or helped you reflect on your own life, I encourage you to leave a comment below. Share your thoughts, your experiences, or simply your support. It all matters. And don't forget to subscribe to When She Broke Us for more raw, real, and unfiltered stories of betrayal, resilience, and personal growth. Every story here reminds us that even through pain, there's a way to reclaim our power and dignity. Thank you for watching, and remember, your strength is greater than any betrayal, and your voice deserves to be heard.